That rules.
New York City, New York, United States. A city of hopes, dreams, and other stuff like that. Eddie Equus grew up on the mean streets of Manhattan before becoming a Rhodes Scholar, an Army Ranger, and an American Idol winner. Then, tragedy struck, as it was revealed that Eddie's father, Dr. Henry Equus, was the serial killer known as the Sweatpants Strangler. Motivated by a personal obligation to redeem his family name, Eddie enlisted in the NYPD, graduating top of his class shortly thereafter. Within months, his undercover work as part of the Plainclothes Unit Task Force Bagel found him disrupting international human trafficking operations, crimes amongst the growing unhoused population, and diabolical financial schemes designed to further decimate impoverished communities. In light of his unprecedented success, dogged work ethic, selfless heroism, and positive media coverage after a highly publicized shootout, Eddie was promoted to detective after less than 3 years on the job. But despite all the accolades and accomplishments, Eddie could never quite shake his troubled mind. Off the clock, Eddie continued to struggle with his addiction to soda and highly immersive VR pornography. As the pressure mounted to keep up with his own stellar reputation, Eddie's eventual burnout came to a head one night, when a tip on a homicide case led him to a dark warehouse in the Bronx. With no backup, Eddie was approached by a tall figure stumbling menacingly from the darkness. After they ignored several of his commands to stop, Eddie was left with no choice but to fire at the figure. It was only after the figure was slumped dead on the ground, however, that Eddie discovered that this was in fact not a man at all, but rather 3 hyper-intelligent chimpanzees stacked on top of one another in a disguise. The posthumously dubbed Bronx Zoo 3, Donnie, Johnny, and Salami, escaped the confines of their prison and were making their way towards Cuba. And despite the public outcry that followed, in which Eddie was publicly shamed by the likes of New York City Mayor Eric Adams, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Saturday Night Live's Pete Davidson, Eddie was allowed to remain in the NYPD. Though he was relegated to serve in a mounted unit, ceremonially patrolling the outer boroughs, or trotting around public events, giving children candy and stickers. And while some might have viewed this as a merciful gesture on behalf of the department, Eddie felt ignored, isolated and alienated from his peers. This was only made worse when he was assigned to partner with the infamous Bullet. A veteran of the department, Bullet was still widely regarded as the fastest horse in the tri-state area. And though he was rumored to have descended from a champion bloodline, he had a bad temper, and was hooked on Camel smokes. And it was only a few weeks into their reluctant partnership when New York was hit by another terrorist attack. This time perpetrated by the white nationalist group, the White Boys, with a Z. As a series of backpack IEDs tore through midtown Manhattan, Eddie and Bullet managed to help countless citizens to safety. Then, as the words, "all clear," began to sound over the radio, they discovered one more bomb. But they were too late to stop it. In a flash, Eddie and Bullet were grievously wounded by the explosion. Doctors tried desperately to save them both, but it was looking like their injuries were fatal. Then, seemingly appearing out of thin air, the surgeon operating on Bullet, veterinarian Dr. Rudy Ringling, approached the medical team with a seemingly insane proposal. Independently, he said, neither Eddie nor Bullet could survive their wounds. But together, they could survive, thrive even, as something more. After 43 hours of surgery, the operation was a success. Though Eddie disagreed. Especially after discovering that Bullet lives on within his brain as some sort of interdimensional spirit guide. Furious, Eddie confronted Dr. Ringling about what he had done to him. Dr. Ringling explained that this was a second chance at life. A second chance to do things right. A second chance at justice. Deep down, Eddie knew he was right. And so, after his recovery, and being partnered with hard-nosed department veteran, Detective Cheryl Zadziki, he was unveiled to the public as a man no longer a horse cop. From now on, he was